4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, 1 is the best one, of course, is my cluster because we are 3, 1. Yay. Oh my God. 1, 3, 1, 3, 3, 1, 3. Oh my God, we have like people from mostly 1 and 3. Where are people from cluster 5, cluster 2? I want to see you. Please. Let me see people from. There's one from 4. Oh my God. Oh, we have 1 cluster 2 here. Yay. So, okay. Is there anyone here that doesn't know which cluster you're from? Not ashamed to know, like, I mean, sometimes you're also VP or VP and you're not that much into that stuff. Going to discover, like, if you don't know, you're going to discover in this session. Don't worry. So, to start, what is DI? DI is how we call our amazing development index. And what basically like is our development index? The ECB development index is a growth model that we use in ICB by measuring the entities based on the development and maturity of the ECB. Remember, like when you're like in an entity level that you have the organizational development model, the OD model. So the development index is basically like the OD model that we from ECB we use. And it helps us to, from the ICB team, to give support for each entity according to their needs. Because according to the clusterization system, we can like understand better where is the situation of that entity and which is the path that we can provide for them to lead them onto an entity that's fully compliant. And of course, like clustering basically involves grouping of the similar objects, similar entities into a set known as cluster. So for example, when I have cluster 1, the entities who are part of cluster 1, they have an entity that's more similar between them than between entities that are from cluster 1 and cluster 3. So that's why they are grouped together, because they have similar parameters that allow us to work together with them. And other thing, we are on the version 3 of our development index. So it was first created on the term 1819. And then like we had like the revamp of 1920, and then we had like a second revamp. So basically like since the creation of the development index for ACB, many things were added, refreshed. And currently, what do we have right now? We have our own ECB criteria. So like criteria to define where an ECB is being performing or not. We have a system that allows, for example, for entities to jump or withdraw from a cluster to another according to their performance. We have 17 criteria that are being analyzed. So you can have like a variety of parameters that you can use to identify which are the issues that are happening in each entity. We are basically dividing this in 2 axes, the entity criteria and the ECB criteria. Most of the criteria, they are based and updated with the ICB survey. Like some criteria are taken from other sources as ICB Synergy or DAO files. And basically, like when you talk about this, like I know that's maybe a little bit of too much information, but when you think about this, like there's a lot of data that goes into DI. That's for serious. But when you look into the sheet, it's kind of like easier for you to pinpoint where's the issues because like we have the numbers. So it's very, very much more well translated. Now we are going to talk about the metrics and the visions. So currently, the DI, like as I said before, is divided into 2 axes, the entity performance criteria and the ECB performance criteria. So as I said before as well, where do we get this information? This was me basically during the whole conference, like during the sessions, had you fill the ICB survey. Why? Because the majority of the information that we get for the ECB performance is taken out from ICB survey. So if you don't fill the survey, we don't have this information, so you can help. So that's why like I was annoying you so much. But of course, we also get this from other points as EXPA. We also get from DAO files. We also get from the network tracking. We also get from the souls of old Isaacers that tell us in a dream. Just kidding, it doesn't happen. But anyway, we get this from a lot of sources along our ECB work. And what is the ECB performance index? So it may be huge. And of course, we have 9 criteria that we have in the ECB performance index, which means that, for example, right now, your grade can be a minimum of -9 and maximum of 9 according to this axis. And what we check, for example, if you have an audit system, like how is the implementation of them, a harassment prevention committee, if you're at any touch points with ICB, if you have financial track of expenses, you have a case track, you have breaks track, how are the status of the MC synergy meetings, if you're having active communication channels with plenaries, and the educational spaces that you are providing as ECB chair, as ECB entity control board. All of this data, we use these scales, like whether if you have a system or not, if it's compliant or not, to kind of like identify where are your ECB performance in, so it can like get a better path for you and help you, okay, which are the things that you should focus. And the entity performance right now, it's mainly according the things that like regarding your entity. So for example, all of this data is regarding mostly operational stuff. So we have the NPS response rate and score. We have the standards response rate and score. We have the percentage of finished to completed. We have the number of lost official case applications to ICB. We have realization breaks and number of realizes. So right now we have these informations that we're taking either from DAO or EXPA or with the CS team to understand how your entity is performing in terms of quality. So we have like a more qualitative amount of data that we can use to identify if an entity is delivering quality experiences or not. And this is basically what makes the axis of the entity performance. And right now, this is how it looks like. I don't know if this part like gray because of the cameras or not. Can you tell me?
No. We can see the full screen.
Okay. Oh, come back. So as you can see, like this is how currently is divided according to the division of the last update of the DI survey that was in November, like the last DI. And as you can see, like we have the entities very well divided. You have like some entities who have like good entity performance, entities have like not that much entity performance in terms of like completed, finished, and so on. And then the entities who are like on this quarter here are the ones that have the ECB processes more well established, and these ones that are still struggling with establishing ECB process. So you can see that's very divided. And mostly when you see this view, you can see that like we can divide this graphic into 4 parts, which is basically I'm going to talk in yours. So when we talk about clusterization, we are going to make, let's say that your reality is similar to the ones on their cluster. So coming back here, as you see, like the entities that are more close together, they have similar realities than, for example, one entity that's here and one that's here. They have like more similar realities, more similar struggles, and more similar processes than the other ones. So when we clusterize, we group them together in order to understand how we can help them better, and at the same time have this exchange of good case practices or even like implementation of processes. Being in one cluster or another is not good or bad. Just means that like the maturity of your process and as a CB and as an entity. Like there's some people that say like, oh, I mean, even we say that, for example, cluster coaches, oh, my cluster is the best, like cluster 1 is the best, cluster is the best, but in the end, all clusters are equally fine, except when you have cluster wars. But in the end, they only represent which is the status of the development of the ECB of your entity. And basically why we prepare you in clusters is only to give a better path for us to coaches to understand which are the areas that your entities need improvement and how we can coach better. Because, for example, if I have an entity that's having problems with establishing like tracking processes or even auditing, I have to give a different coaching process to them than I would give for an entity that have all processes established, but they're still struggling, for example, with standards delivery or response rate or strategies to engage with their MC or plenary. So the focus that we can have as ECB coaches are different to each of the entities regarding the things that they are lacking most. And as I said before, you can also jump from one cluster to another, like if you improve your processes or if you have like any struggles. So these parameters are very, very flexible, and then like you can change clusters according to what's the development in your current period. And as I say, like when you look at that big map, you can divide the graphic into 4 spaces, A, B, C, and D. And what do they represent? So when we talk about the area A, is there they have like high entity performance and high ECB performance. That's basically where some entities of cluster 1 and 2 are right now. Basically, that means that they have like a high level of maturity processes. So like having HPC, having audit established, having case trackers, and so on. And they also have operationally good results. So they have like either a high number of exchanges or they have a high number of finished to completed percentage. So this kind of like put leverage. And also these entities, they tend to have a good synergy with MC and National Plenary, like ECB boards that are kind of like already existing in the country for a long time, that like the network recognizes the entity and the values. So these are basically where is the situation that the entities that are in this A part mostly have it or share in common. When we talk the area B, are generally entities that have a high level of maturity in ECB process, but whose operational results are not ideal. I can give an example, like I am DVD coach of Cluster 1, but I'm also the ECB chair of Denmark. And right now, Denmark is in this B area. Why? Because even though like we have all of the ECB process working, especially also during COVID, we have a very low number of realizations, and we also had struggles on delivering some of the exchanges because of that. And this made like our performance to go down. And now basically my focus as a CB chair is to focus on synergy with the MC and how we can improve these parameters. Generally, for the entities who are like in this view area, they need to have a better connection with their MC entities and work together to understand, okay, maybe why I have so much breaks, or why am I having so much cases? Because also entities have a lot of cases, and breaks are also in this area, even though they have like good processes. On the C area, we have entities that don't have that much maturity on the ECB processes, but they have operationally good results. So they're having like too much realizations and even so much good results of finished completed, but they don't have too much ECB processes developed. Like they don't have audit system, they don't have HPC, they don't have trackers. And these are, we say like, are entities that are kind of like mystery, because they can be two-sided. They can be the ones that can really make a revolution on the operations, because if they educate and ensuring that the high number of exchanges become quality good ones, their entities can easily become top players and deliver everything they can need to do. But at the same point is usually when the blind spots are in, because you have some entities, they are not being compliant, and we have sometimes like results that are not really real, because we don't have like the right process to track it. So for example, the risks of us to having like cases that are tempered because we don't have processes, or even like breaks that are not done because we don't have the process, are very high on specifically these entities. So we have both scenarios on this area. And on the D area are generally the entities that have low maturity in ECB processes, and the operations results were also low. And the majority also of like new ECB, so like entities that never had an ECB before, or had like as a long time since they had, and now they are restarting, they generally tends to be this one, because in this area, because they're still starting their ECB process from scratch, and they are still like not developing that much like the skills, and don't have a very good connection with their MC or the plenary to kind of like have the synergy and basics get done. So when you think about like those areas, when you think about the clusterization and coaching, when you have this structure in mind, like as I said before, it's easier for us as BD cluster coaches, and also for other people from the ICB team, to assist the entities on which points they need to develop. Because if I know which area you are and which points you need to develop, I can tailor my coaching to be more efficient to you. And by separating groups, you can better organize how we can provide the right support. You can provide the same support with like in the cluster calls or in touch points that are common to everyone. So it's easier for us to not having to repeat the same information for different people. We kind of like group them together. And also we ensure that entities that sometimes share similar realities, they can learn from each other. And as I said, and something that's very important to say is that like this is not a perfect system. It's always evolving system. So like every year, every generation is going to have like some issues that are tackled and some other issues that arise. Right now, this is the one that we have, and that's bringing results. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stick with this one forever. We are always going to keep it evolving. So right now, this is how our development index look like. Like this is how our current clusterization looks like. As you can see, it's not that much balanced. We have like lots of entities on cluster 5 and not that many on cluster 1, and we have like an even number, and they're also not well distributed in terms of like regions and so on. But it's the one that have like the most similar realities grouped together, or at least the most similar realities grouped accordingly to the ICB survey of October, because since then things changed. And now we are going to talk about DI refreshment. What are the news that are coming? Yay! So already like dropping the mic. Woo. So we changed a few parameters to be more like adaptable to the reality of the entities. I put in this way, so because I mean, I know that you probably wouldn't memorize all of them. So I have like which were the old ones and which were the new ones. So in the ECB performance, we refreshed 4 parameters. The touch points with ICB, we replaced it by network engagement. Why? Because when you talk about like touch points with ICB, sometimes it was not very clear about like which touch points you were talking about, because we had like the weekly calls, the O2 one and stuff, any other touch point needed, but it was very broad. And now with the network engagement, we put in a more clear way to specify it to be according to the touch points of the quarter. Before we were measuring people who were having like no absence or few absences, but at the same time, like if you have like 50, let's say 50 touch points in one quarter, then having like 3 or more absences would be common, because attending 50 touch points would be like maybe too much depending on our time zone. So we put like in, we changed it instead of like a -1 to 1, we change it to a percentage. So like the amount of percentage of touch points that you attend. So it's a little bit like more realistic to the reality of the entities. Also regarding the tracking tools like financial track, cases track, and breaks track, we had, for example, before that if they have a tracking tool, or if it's updated and if it's not updated. But at another point, there are some the criteria that we use it, and that if they were not updated, it means like 2 weeks without updates. But that was something that would be like a little bit weird for some realities, because, for example, we have entities that in 6 months they didn't have an ECB case, or they didn't have a break realization or a break of approval because they're not having. So their tracks would be assigned as non-updated because they were not updated in 2 weeks, but they wouldn't need. So we changed this for tracking for like if they have a tracking tool system, if they don't have a tracking tool system, and then the rest we would be like according to if the entity has really high performance or not, but mostly focus on these things, having and not having. Is that clear? Am I speaking too fast? Please let me know. No?
Oh, all good.
Yeah. And regarding the entity performance, that's the thing that we have like a little bit of more changes. The criteria are still the same. However, the way that we scale is a little bit different. Why? When we have, for example, NPS in the past, we had, for the NPS score, we used 2 informations, the NPS home and the NPS host. So imagine the scenario. You have 100 exchanges, 99 are ICX and 1 is OGX. Your ICX grade is 5 and your OGX grade is 10. With the old system, you would get a 7.5 because it would be like the average of them. But if you have 99 detractors and 1 promoter, do you have a 7.5 grade? No, you don't, because you have a bigger number of detractors. You have a bigger number of people who are not having a good experience. So what do? We changed the NPS and the standards response rate and score to be divided per operation and scaling according to the contributor of operation. So for example, if I have 99 exchanges of IGV and 1 exchange of OGV, then 90% of my 99% of my score is going to be scaled according to the IGV grade and 1% according to the OGV grade. So like you're going to have like the grade based on the exchange that you run like most. So this is more balanced and you can identify where is the problem. Because before you could say like, okay, I have a 7.5 and you can say, oh, it's kind of like a good NPS, not good, but will be like better than most. But actually, no, you have a lot of people who are giving like a 5. So this is a little bit more balanced and like you can have like a better, clear score of what is happening. Even though the NPS is currently not working on Expo, but we change it anyway because we hope that it comes back. So it was basically like these little changes that were changed. And I mean, as I said before, this is the current development index from October. So yeah, from October. And this is how it is like from October, but like I put like in balls, which is a little bit easier for you guys to see, separated by regions. This is still the current one. Calm down, don't worry. I separate by regions to not confuse like with clusters, because it'd be like, oh my God, did you put cluster and stuff? No. Chill down, like look at this. As you can see, it's a little bit like, because of the parameters, some of them are very, very grouped together, like in some points, like one on top of another, you almost can't see the names. And then when you look with the new parameters and the data that was inserted, that right now is data from August until April, this is the result. Okay, they said that like it brought it up a little bit. I can already see in the camera people already like looking, trying to find their A cluster, sometimes like the bubbles are not going to let you see, but as you can see, like you have like very much broad, and at the same time, like they're more separated, and you can understand better where they are figuring out. So you can have like, and they're still like separated by regions, just in case. Calm down. So if you're not able to find yourself there, don't worry. You're going to see the slide after in the output, chill it. And again, wait. Okay. Remove my slide. Yes. So first of all, one alignment, because the alignment got cut when I changed the slides. This is not the final clusterization. Final clusterization will be launched in June. Until then, this data can change. Why? Because if, for example, in the ICB audit report, we figured out that like you actually don't have an HPC stuff and stuff, you can downgrade. If your entity decreases the finish to complete that they have, or have too many realization breaks, you are going to also like have your parameters changed. So this is not a final clusterization. If someone comes to say, oh my God, I changed the cluster, I'm going to find you and I'm going to like use magic for when your entity is filling the next ICB audit form, your internet's going to be lagging and you have to fill each form again for 3 times. Do you want this? No. So please control yourselves. So with this, basically that will be non-official, I repeat, non-official clusterization. So with the data so far. Does anyone wants to share something about it? Any comment? I mean, I'm not seeing the chat, so if anyone can unmute their mic to talk, not screaming, please. Have sensitive ears. Okay, no, stop. Okay. So as I said, attention, attention. So not the final version. New clusterization will be launched in June. In June. So until June, you did not jump at clusters. When June says, we say, okay, you jump at cluster, didn't jump cluster. We changed the cluster, didn't jump cluster. June. Focus on June. As I said, clusters can change depending on entity performance. It's basically like amount of finishes, completed, breaks, and official case applications, and its performance, network touch points, attendance, updates on OT1s, ICB audit. So, for example, VICO is a network touch point attendance. So if you're attending VICO, cool, you're having one more. But if you're not attending VICO, sorry. If you're attending the cluster calls, if you're attending the global chairs calls, so if you're requesting OT1s, these are network touch points. So if you're not an attendant, maybe your grade is going to fall off later. Just saying. Third thing, metrics. These metrics that I'm using can also be adjustable to be more updatable for the coaches. So as I said before, look at how it's the situation right now. Remember, oh my God. Remember when we have like our current one, it was already a little bit unbalanced. And look at how it is now, like cluster form have too many entities. So perhaps we're also going to adjust the parameters to have like a little bit more balance between the entities. So the cluster coaches don't have that much entities or that too low entities to handle off. So maybe we are also going to adjust the parameters on that. And of course, the NPS can start working again. And if that start working again, that's going to be a really game changer. So please express all, but please pay attention. Again, yay! Yeah, I see that many people are happy here, but please, 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 June. If anyone say jump at cluster, your audit form is going to lag. You're going to fill it 3 times every single form, and it's like 10 forms. So do you want to fill the ICBI report 30 times? Do you want? So you didn't jump cluster, okay? Repeat after me. We didn't jump cluster yet. We didn't change the cluster yet.
We
didn't jump the cluster. We didn't change the cluster yet.
Good. Very good.
We didn't change the cluster yet.
I even put two times because I'm going to explain and the like it messed my stuff. Oh my God. Okay. So right now, do we have some space for Q&A still? Woo!
Yes. You can take Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. So you can have a short time for. Mãe, eu tô chamada. Eu tô falando. Sorry. My mom's making food and the stuff. So if you have any questions, now is the time. Please ask. I'm going to open my chat and let me see what people wrote here. The ancient plaster are making coffee. No, it's not making coffee. It's like just the grinder. I hear June a lot during the day. Come June, June is my mantra. Damn, this call was more exciting than a complete movie. Oh my god, that's so nice. The word non-official is scary, but okay. Well, someone will have to work their ass off. This is the most special session. You're scaring us. Panic. That was scary. Oh my god, I love you guys. I would say just gave us a small heart attack. Why are you so amazing? Oh, because I'm chair of cluster 1. That's why I'm so amazing. I mean, you didn't got a heart attack, but in the end, like, remember, the work that you do during your ECB term is the one that's going to define also how good your entity is going to perform in terms of ECB. And this, of course, is going to influence the development index. So, yay. After, together with the report of the output of the conference, I'm also going to send like the two that I use it, like with the parameters updated so far. So you can also take a look, okay, like which are the parameters that I'm like less or low, and you can already work on this month on scheduling with your MSCs. Hey, this is the parameters we need to improve. This is the parameters that we are having some issues. Can we have a call? Can we improve on that? So we can improve everything and the synergies. And who knows, in June, you may jump cluster. Who knows?
Ask your questions, people. You're not gonna have another chance to meet the queen behind DI.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Morgana. I am not an ECB chair and I'm not a member currently, but I am curious to know that when you release the parameters that you're talking about, the progress that different entities have made, is that something that you communicate directly to the board, or is that something that is publicly available for an entire plenary? Like if a plenary wants to see where they are in terms of development, can they see, or is that information purely for the ECB?
Yeah, so the development index is available for everyone that wants to look. However, this part of the non-official one so far is going only to be released for the ECB network, because it's only kind of like a test for them to know, okay, where I'm situated and which are the parameters, because it's not an official change yet. The official one is going to do this in June. So to this period, no.
What I mean is,
yeah,
I don't mean the cluster itself. Like obviously we find out what cluster we're in, but the actual parameters that we are lacking in or that we're doing well in individually for each different measure, do we find that out as the plenary?
Yes, yes, you can find. Wait, oh, it wasn't first stop sharing. It was for just start changing. Wait. Okay, let me go back. Yes, here. So basically, oh my God, I have too many tabs open. So if you go here on the official ECB development index, 2021, closing a little bit. Yes. So we have one tab. That's called DI. And then as you can see, like you can have for each, this is the old one, for example. This is like which is your grade in which one of the parameters, as you can see. As you can see, like the old NPS that was like basically average of the host and home, which was not kind of like good at the time. The standard score, number of lost OCAs, realization breaks, realizations, finish completed, and so on. So like decent performance. So all of this data, you can get it online on the ECB development index. It's available to everyone to see it, like which is the parameters. The new ones are going to also be launched, but in June with like the complete information.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I can send the link. I can just copy paste here, but you can also find it on the ICB website. Don't forget that we have an amazing internal control board website that you can use to get information whenever you want. And yes, thank you, Rolito. And Misha also asked regarding NPS, if it doesn't work until the DI is closed, what happens? So if it doesn't work, like, I mean, I can show you how I did. Oh my God, we have too many tabs. This one. Because yeah, I have a sheet only for me playing around. You're seeing literally behind the scenes. Yay. So for example, right now, as you can see, like I prepared them for IGV, OIGVO, and all this stuff. the NPS is blank. So the parameter is not inserted, like not inserted. If it starts working, then I'm going to start putting the grades. But if it is not there, it's going to be like empty and the results are not going to be altered, are only going to be altered if the NPS starts working again. And if it starts working again, maybe we're going to try to find like how we're going to insert it. Because for example, we didn't have that much time. Let's say like if they start to say, oh, okay, NPS is starting back again in April. And then you have like only people who finish it like in April, May and June that are going to actually like fill it. So like it's going to be like a small amount. Okay. So we're short on time. So we're going to play one song and just one alignment regarding the next session.
Yeah, I can explain it, Mark. Thank you very, very much. I will also share my screen to.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you have it already?
Yes.
Awesome. It's okay. Is this? So maybe this is clearer to see for them to see the tracks and the agenda and so on. Can you see it or it's optimized? Wait, no, it's not optimized.
We can see.
Awesome. So if you're ECB chair or if you're ECB chair elect or ECB team, you go to the new room, which is, can you read the in the font? ice.ec/VICO 2021 -2. That's where you'll find no wait, how to plan in room. I think this is I'm as confused as you. Wait, just a second. Who stays in the main room? It's Candy, right? Candy, you're here? And Sirin, you're here, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So exactly. So the ECB chairs elect and the ECB teams. Let me just change this for a second. You stay here. All of the ECB chairs current. You go to the other room, which is ice.ec/VICO 2021-2.
Okay, so Raulito, current people have to go to 2, right?
Yes. Just a second. I'm changing the agenda and showing it again. So sharing the screen. So I think this is true. If I'm not losing my mind, if I'm losing my mind, excuse me. This is the last day of VICO. So
Yeah.
switchers current now have how to plan. Should be with so this is Suhaib. It's in the new room, and the ECB afterlife. It's with Karina.
Both in the new room.
Yeah. And
So if you are an old chair, you go to the new link. If you're a new chair, you stay in the old link.
Am I right? I'm feeling so doubtful now.
No, it's right.
Guess that you came for the eye and ended up with your brain cells dying, Raulito.
Yeah, send them that meme. Don't forget to send them that meme.
Oh my god. Okay.
Nikki
I can share.
And Cardi.
Okay, I can share that meme. That meme is amazing.
Yes. Candy, can you also share it in the delegate group? The new link. Awesome. Sirin is here already. And she's gonna give you, her and Candy are gonna give you a session. Like I personally saw it in the dry run and I was really impressed. So stay here. And then you're gonna have ECB live. And Suhaib is waiting for you, ECB chairs current in the new room. Morgana, this is what you wrote in your slide, right? Or you wrote it the other way?
What? No, it was in the other way.
Guys, trust me. Don't
actually was so high. It was so high that wrote that on my slides. It was like, I'm going to invade your slide. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. People, this Zoom thing is very confusing. No, this is not Zoom. It's not about Zoom. It's about conference management. Don't be conference manager. Or if you want to be conference manager, have an expectation that you're gonna die, like you're gonna DI, like Morgana was explaining now. Cool. So I think everybody knows what they should need to do. If you're still confused, Kandi can explain again, but I will stop sharing and Kandi can start again. We'll also send this in the delegate group. So bye bye.
Bye, peeps.